spiritually and mentally, emotionally. I'm not a social bully, but all that bullshit you pull, kid, I see it fully. I'm a mammoth like a bully. I'm rapping in my hoodie, looking gully, but I'm kind and intelligent. So classy ladies love me, and I love them to the one you for the money. Who will have your back no matter if it's rainy or it's sunny? I ain't playing to say funny, I ain't joking when it comes to rap. Better tell the DJ on the replay now, run it back. The real hip hop, we loving that. Truth, knowledge, wisdom in the rap on the open train. Still is what they say when I speak harder than the tongue in the class. Still determined, hating 8 balls because 100 stacks. Real hip hop, we bringing it back, cause all of that commercial crap is wiggity, work. See some auto, you make like I go wiggity clack. When I'm done spitting, everybody hear me down. I'm getting props for the way that I be licking shots. Lyrical ammunition, barrel smoking and the pistols hot. See some auto, you can call me Mr. Big Shot. Get big fam, we reppin' for real hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. Don't try to compare us to them other little rap fools. We done get big fam. Hey, you know what we do, we done get big fam. Hey, you know what we do, we done get big fam. Hey, you know we get big, big. Watch the city get big, big. A spirit get big, big. Teach a lot of big, chill. Straight up and down, yo. Get big, family aside. Time to show the black commercial rappers how to rhyme. Check it out. Yo, some of them try to rhyme, but they can't rhyme like this. Go. Some of them try to rhyme, but they can't. Go. Some of them try to rhyme, but they can't rhyme like this. Go. Some of them try to rhyme, but they can't. Cause we need to get biggity, 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 family. Get biggity, 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 fam. We need to get biggity, 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 family. Get biggity, 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 fam. Try to compare us to them other little rap fools. We done get big fam. Hey, you know what we do, we done get big fam. Hey, you know what we do, we done get big fam. Hey, you know we get big, big. Watch the city get big, big. A spirit get big, big. Teach a lot get big, big.
All right. Thank you for joining the Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. This is your host, Pete Wichert. Better late than never. I'm getting Seth Davis on the line right now. This is basically our final probably show of the year, which has been a pretty hard year for myself. But yeah, it's basically hopefully dawn of a new era the next upcoming year. And let's see if we got Seth.
Hello.
All right, you're there. Let me see.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hold on. Seth, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. What about now?
Yeah, I'm hello?
What about now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Sorry, we're just trying to basically Seth's been having. Can you hear? All right. Hello. All right. Try this.
You're coming through, man.
All right. What about now?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? You can't.
Pete, am I coming through?
Yeah. Every time I go to hook you up through the through the speaker, you don't come through.
Okay. Wow.
But what I'll just put you right here on speaker. Let's see. Sorry about this little delay here. This is what happens when, again, you're underfunded, if funded at all. And, yeah, you kind of got to adapt with this situation.
Well, no joke, considering that the NSA and all these assholes are willing to do anything they can at any moment to screw us over. We're doing what we got to do.
All right, so we could hear you, Seth. It's 12/30, 2015, December 30th. And we have, if you cannot tell, Seth Davis, creator and host of Two Real News, tworealnews.com, and as well as good friend, Facebook page, Two Real News. And just before we get on, on any topics, I'd like to say thank you to Diesel Automatic. I had my house broken into when I was at work, and as pretty down and out on Christmas, and good guy, Diesel. Did something for me, and between him and I don't know if he wants it, out there, but he did something that really meant a lot to me, and I'm also going to be getting him on. He said first thing New Year, so look forward to that interview. I'm definitely going to pick his brain on some crazy, crazy topics, and I got a lot of interesting things I've been gathering for months to actually bring up and ask him. So I'm looking forward to doing that interview. Seth, um, do you have anything you want me to bring up to Diesel while we're on the topic?
Oh man, just big ups on getting him on the show, and the fact that he's been a supporter there and everything like that has actually been listening, which is wonderful because I've been listening to the exact same thing with him there and everything, and he's been putting out wonderful work the last few years here. Actually helped awaken a heck of a lot of people, and God bless and everything, man. I'd like to see if we could actually start working together on some things in the future there. I mean, after all, you are representing Chicago, as is he. So.
Yep. Well, where do we begin today, brother? I mean, we got my pretty much take on Jesse Ventura's trip to Russia, which I was lucky enough to receive a kind of personal take on that, whereas a lot of people just heard an InfoWars interview. So we could go with that. I mean, what news do you have for us, I guess, that broke today?
Got something to end this year and then something to begin next year for our first two articles. But before we start there's some breaking news here that a friend of the San Bernardino shooter was just indicted on terror charges. I'm just loading this up right now because I figure this is pretty big news. Enrique Marquez Jr., a longtime friend of San Bernardino shooter Saeed Farouk, has been indicted on terrorism charges by a federal grand jury. He was arrested in mid-December over accusations of conspiring with a terrorist. Marquez, 24, has been charged with conspiring with Farouk and planning terror attacks in 2011 and 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show you right there, the mass surveillance doesn't ever seem to get the people that it's actually supposed to. And if not, there was direct correlation in actions.
Almost always is the case, man. Connections with the federal government.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a funny, well, not funny because of the situation, but that's interesting that that comes out because again, that's something that we've been preaching for how long now?
Oh, quite a while. I know. Before we get off track, though, the beginning of stuff that I wanted to get for the end of the year, and definitely on the tip of talking with Diesel Automatic there and everything, is the encouragement over the activism we've actually seen. And this is 2015, a year out of Russia today. Going over everything that's pretty much gone on this year, from the Black Lives Matter demonstration all the way from like New Year's Eve to January. I mean, we had the...
Hey, hold on 1 second. I'm getting an unknown caller. Let's see if this is a fan. Hello? Hello? Yeah, that was somebody listening to us. Did you hear that? Seth, that was somebody listening to us calling private.
Oh, wow. Weird.
Oh, it could be my buddy Tim, but why is he calling me private? I heard the show in the background.
Okay.
Hey, Timothy, if it's you, man, check your Twitter, private messages. I sent you a direct message. Click the link and you'll come right in.
Perfect.
Yeah, gotta love the participation. And if it was Diesel Automatic, man, we'd love to hear from you. Call back, brother.
Oh, definitely. We had, what else, continuing in February there out here in Pasco, Washington. I mean, technically it's the east side of the state, but still closer than you are to it. There was Antonio Zambrano Montez of Pasco, Washington, shot and killed by 3 police officers after throwing rocks at cars and at least one softball-sized rock at officers. Around 1,000 people protested his death on February 12th. Pretty crazy. We got in Madison, Wisconsin, 5,000 trade unionists surrounded the state capitol in Madison
Oh yeah, no, exactly. And there has been little, if any, attention brought to that. Besides, I'll give Infowars credit on that. Sending Joe Biggs down there, and the Guardian exposing it. There's been no exposure on that whole incident, the whole accusations, the whole settlement, everything in that case. So it's
Oh, great.
always good to hear anything about Hammond Square.
Well, it just continues here through the rest of the article, literally over 24 more examples of protests. And of course, my computer shuts off again. Wonderful. Gotta love technology. Truly is the best here. I was going through all the different examples of protests here in the United States that happened in 2015. And I mean, really, Pete, would you not say that we've been having a bit more of an effect than we were when we first started doing this?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think that just the whole hair situation with the gun being pulled to my head and me being responsible for bad PR, that in itself showed just how big of an impact our fans have, where
No
they
joke.
put too much public pressure, and just the school. When one of my buddies asked to make them do the Pledge of Allegiance, which I really don't have a stand on, but it's in the rules. And they did it within 1 day due to public pressure. So, yeah, I mean, we're having impact, man. And it's awesome to see it.
Oh, most definitely. I think showing the pressure that they could put on O'Hare to actually start thinking about what you were doing, to actually even notice you, like the ISR on turning on you there, is just a great example that you're making a difference, that we're making a difference, that everybody listening to this show is making a difference. And I don't really want to get a patting ourselves on our own backs a little bit too much there or anything like that. But you know what? We need to acknowledge the stuff that we've done that's good, because we have made positive inroads into the mainstream here, and we've actually brought a lot of people out of all this mainstream intellectual doldrums that just keep people bogged down in the same old bullshit thought processes.
Oh yeah, and unfortunately, like if you just watch like the news or even the debates, all that, it's they're putting people back like 20 steps. They're trying to put people back. So what we got, 10 steps ahead. So we
Oh yeah,
can't
man,
give
the
up
fucking
now.
Republican and Democratic debates there, if we really get completely honest on it, it's some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Do you listen to these morons? Did you have a chance to watch that, Pete?
I tried to monitor it, I guess you could say. Hey Tim,
Yo, what's up, Wichert?
you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm there, man. How's it going?
I can't hear you, but hold on. I'm gonna try to put my headphones in. We got a buddy of mine, Timothy Little, joining us. He's an online blogger. We also met at work. He actually went to the same high school as I, which is interesting. He's a younger guy, and quite aware of what's going on. See if I could hear him through here. Hey, Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. You're coming in loud and clear, buddy.
Oh wow, something's going on. We got an echo. Well, at least we could. Where is this coming in?
Can you hear? Can you hear now? Is it better now?
I got it. All right, it's off. So basically, we're gonna start this show over right now, and I'll edit it. So,
Okay.
first off, can you hear my buddy Seth?
No, I can't hear Seth. I can only hear you, Pete.
Okay. Let's see. You can't hear him at all, huh?
I can kind of hear him, like really, really low.
Okay. Basically, we'll just start over. So,
That's fine.
thank you for joining The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. It's 12:30:15, probably our last broadcast of the year. I'm joined by two people, Seth Davis via the phone. So we're doing our best we can with that. And also Timothy Little, online blogger, as well as guy I went to high school with, even though we didn't directly go together, same high school, and we met at work as well. And Seth, you want to try saying something first, brother?
Sure. I just wanted to get back to what we were talking about to kind of end this year as a bit of a wrap up there. 2015, a year of protest in America. This is out of Russia Today, a really great article where it's just going over every single last one of these major protests that we've had since the beginning of the year. And think about it, Pete. You and I have been like on just ground floor of a lot of this type of stuff, literally right as it's happening. I mean, you were even at Hammond Square. You've had more than enough stuff here with the police brutality thing to actually get into it. I mean, you went to Ferguson.
Yeah, I was in Ferguson. I was at Hammond, and unfortunately, what I learned there made me. It scarred me. It scarred me for life. Tim, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Pete. Yep.
Okay, cool. Now, Seth, can you hear Tim now?
Yes, I can.
All right, cool. So I think we're all good now across the board. And Tim, can you hear Seth?
I can hear him now. I couldn't before. Now he's coming in loud and clear. Yeah.
Awesome. So I set that up. So basically, I was at Ferguson. I was at Hammond Square, and I've seen things basically go downhill in a nutshell. Whereas I thought they were going to go uphill because we've seen almost probably the worst of the worst, having the army and basically an American town, small town at that. And then on top of that, we had, Baltimore and things like that just immediately after. What's your take, Tim, on where we're headed? Are we headed down this road to the police state that we can't avoid? Or, what's your outside take on the events that happened?
Well, I'll say this, Pete. I'll say that the protests that are happening, some of them, some of the people are for real. Some of them, like Alex Jones have said, have, I think, been funded. We kind of talk about this a lot, amongst my own family, because it's kind of hard to see who really has the truth, like you do, Pete, versus, a bunch of people who have nothing else better to do, kind of getting together, just trying to stir up trouble,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the real difference between the two groups,
I'm actually glad you
I think a
brought
lot of
that
people are waking up, though, thanks to you, thanks to Alex Jones. I think people do want the truth in this country, and so I think they are seeking it out. So that's my take.
Yeah, it's something that's becoming popular. But yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up because there's the people there, right, Seth, with the masks on, basically trying to stir up crap between InfoWars and racist and things like that. There was people that had to be in Secret Service or they look like former Blackwater or whatever their name is now, operatives, really found us around at the hotel. So even they were going there to report this was actually pretty dangerous, and unfortunately, we're under surveillance. Why do you think they would even do that? Just a small time guy like me, Seth.
Oh, so you, Pete, you have a better idea than anybody here that it goes beyond just a small time guy type thing, especially with what you were doing with O'Hare, the videos there and whatnot. I think we seriously pissed off some people by actually exposing a lot of the things and bringing people's attention to O'Hare International Airport and a lot of the stuff around it. That, if you really start looking at to like what we were talking about, the different flags and everything like that, the buildings and all that type of stuff, it actually fits way more in with what Jesse Ventura is talking about of a giant continuity of government base in the Midwest than Denver International Airport does. Which everybody's looking at Denver International Airport, and as we've talked about before, it's like O'Hare is the white elephant in the room.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, you've been there every day like I have. You've seen the communist flag, right? You could vouch for me. You're probably the first person out there to vouch for all this.
Well, I just kind of want to go ahead and say, Pete, and start out by saying I remember watching your videos way back when, and it was kind of cool to actually bump into you live. We had this talk off air, and way back when, well, a couple months ago already. But yeah, you kind of exposed what was going on there, and you kind of are like the InfoWars of Chicago, really. And so it's a part of the nation that I don't think gets enough or receives enough national coverage, at least when it comes to certain things like this. The airport certainly doesn't. People really tuned in and knew what was going on. They'd be pissed, and they don't know what's going on. So
we've thank you, man. I appreciate that's high praise. Honestly, though, we've went through the budget. Tim, Seth, and I went through the budget.
Yeah, we did.
And it's almost unbelievable how much has gone into underground infrastructure. And like even Mayor Daley is on record as talking about hooking up to some underground train that gets goods and supplies around the country quicker. His dad had his own secret train sort of built. I mean, we were on this from day one. Unfortunately, I had a guy that actually helped pretty much pave the way to this underground road. However, he got fired and or actually hurt his back, and he was only allowed to go, certain pretty much to the entrance. And then they had their own private teams, and he said this could fit 4 semi trucks, 2 going each way, and that it was basically never ending.
Yep.
So you have to ask yourself how much money as a city, as a country, have we actually basically just thrown out the window on these black budget secret projects that do not help us whatsoever, while our citizens are in a poor financial state.
Wow, I think that actually ties in perfectly with the next article we're going to talk about.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, this is a little bit of a different website, something I usually don't go to or get anything from, but this is off of a World Socialist website by this is coming with the new year of 2016. U.S. military to expand global operations in 2015. Let's see. The year 2015 will be remembered as a year of expanding global warfare and militarism. It will began with discussions of possibility of a new total war against Russia over the Ukraine crisis, saw new provocations against China in the South China Sea, and draws to a close amid the escalation of the U.S. and European war in Iraq and Syria and the spread of the conflict to Yemen, Libya, and other parts of Africa. The imperialist powers are now determined to make 2016 an even bloodier and more dangerous year. Germany and Japan are openly remilitarizing as their governments seek to whitewash and rationalize the crimes of the World War II era. All of the imperialist powers have seized on the terror attacks in Paris and San Bernardino to place their populations and economies in a war footing. The most dangerous factor is the U.S. drive for global domination. The United States has its hands on virtually every country, employing drone assassinations, special forces operations, and a network of military bases and agreements aimed at establishing unchallenged military domination over the planet, along with cyberspace and outer space. More plans are afoot. Washington is preparing to expand its global basing system through the addition of a, quote, larger network envisioned by the Pentagon, which will include at least 4 new Special Forces hubs and numerous new, quote, spoke bases, according to a New York Times article published Monday. The commando network will be centered on Eurasia and Africa, but will be global in scope, according to Pentagon officials. Among the new bases will be permanent establishment in Afghanistan, which will function as, quote, a hub for Special Forces troops and intelligence operatives throughout Central and South Asia. The record for the United States for the U.S. Special Units, which have emerged as the spearhead of the so-called War on Terror since 2001, makes clear the murderous nature of the escalating commando war. The United States Special Forces have been granted a general license to carry out violence and mayhem in every part of the world with total disregard to international law. Thousands of U.S. commandos are already operating in between 85 and 130 countries worldwide, according to varying estimates by U.S. media sources. And finally, the enlarged Special Forces network is only one element of a broader strategic escalation by Washington. U.S. weapons manufacturers are collaborating with the government to channel an expanding war chest of arms to allied countries and proxy forces, with American weapons sales surging in recent years. In 2014, total U.S. arms sales jumped by $10 billion to a total of $35 billion, giving U.S. corporations control over 50% of the world weapons market, according to a congressional report.
And where are these arms going?
Oh, well, Pete, you and I already know and have talked just ad nauseum about this.
Tim, what's your take on that, man?
Well, what did he say? 80 between 85 and 130 countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the whole world, Pete.
And that's probably I probably say this a lot. Probably a low ball number too on top of it.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, we always talk about, and a lot of people that know the truth know that war is just basically failed politics. So that means we failed basically in 120 countries. What does that say about leadership? You know, what does that say about the establishment here? Not much.
Yeah, and when we do succeed, it's usually putting in a brutal dictator that kills his own people to maintain power.
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi, until they start to reform and try to look in and how to fix their own country, then all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've caused more harm going into Iraq and Afghanistan in just like 10 years, you know, than we've done, I would say, almost in like all the events leading up to that. You know, I mean, I don't know what the budget was for Iraq, but it was huge, absolutely huge compared to, you know, previous conflicts. You can crunch the number, you know, look the numbers up on that.
Oh yeah,
Just mind-boggling waste of time. Haven't actually officially declared war since World War II. Few people actually realize that. You know, that gets more into executive orders and stuff.
Yeah.
But unbelievable.
You're right about that. That's a good point you brought up. Seth, did you hear that?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a point because, yeah, we haven't really declared war on a specific country. We declared war on an ideology, on terrorism, on a
Right.
basically a word.
Well, we allowed the president to declare war through a pen, pretty much, Obama style, pen and a phone. I mean, George Bush was doing it before Obama, and Bill Clinton was doing it before George Bush. But it's the same exact sort of a thing of war by stealth. And it's not really so stealthy when the stealth bombers are dropping bombs on you and yours.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, we're still bombing and droning countries across the world. Yemen, for example, and that's not war. That's not war whatsoever. I mean, that was a great point, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. And
go on.
oh no, I was just going to say it's again, it comes down to failed policies, failed politics over the years. You know, and it, you know, again, all this is so see. Here's the thing about the funny thing about executive orders is that you can have an executive order to reverse the previous one, and that's all that the administration really has to do. It sounds so simple, but you know, it goes back to the money flow. Who's boosting up Halliburton stock? You know, when during the Bush years, or who's making money? You know, the manufacturers of all these you know, military equipment. Who's making the money? You know, you follow the money flow, and the money flow, you know, certainly is on the war. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, most definitely. I think all the people that want to try and defend Obama there or whatever by saying, oh, it's not quite as easy as you want to make it seem there. He couldn't just close Guantanamo Bay, or he couldn't just end the war on terror. He couldn't just do that or the other, any of this stuff. I mean, it's complete and total shit. I mean, we could have done it from day one, literally, and did all this stuff campaigning to do it the same way George Bush did, the same way that Bill Clinton did, or the same way that Bush Sr. did. And it's the same old story. It's the same old song and dance over and over again. Because imagine that, politicians lie, especially Republicans and Democrats. No way.
I couldn't have said any better.
Right.
I mean, we're going to get into. I got an email from you know, buddy Jesse sent me an email about his trip to Russia and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Seth, do you have the Seymour Hersh report at hand? Listen to this. We've been preaching for a long time about the ISIS connection. Seth can pronounce the guy's name, but now
with Recep Tayyip Erdogan
and Abdul Babar.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. That's who you're talking about. Yeah, I was talking about President of Turkey. Who you're talking about is the head of ISIS, who's also a Mossad agent.
He's Jewish.
Yeah.
He's a Jewish head of ISIS. Now, just think of the contradiction in itself. But a report came out now backing up and just basically verifying what we said. Seth, you want to go over that?
Oh, well, it's just, yeah, I think you just summed it up pretty well. It's exactly everything we've been saying. That the president of Turkey there, Erdogan, as well as cabinet members and upper government officials there in Turkey from the Ministry of Intelligence in Turkey, or the MIT as they call themselves, those individuals have been involved with so-called terrorist groups, all the way from ISIS to groups that they paint as terrorists. And I mean, whether or not you want to call the YPG or the PKK terrorists there, the Kurdish Workers Party or whatever, terrorists in Turkey, I mean, that's your deal. I personally don't really think they are necessarily in the way that the government tries to portray it there. However, there are really no good guys, clean cut in most of these things. However, the government of Turkey is completely and totally involved on both sides of every major conflict here and are hedging their bets in every way, just like the United States does, just like Israel does, just like Great Britain does, just like Germany or Italy or France does. It's the same old, same old.
Yeah, and basically there seems to be to elaborate on this, actually a kind of war in off of what Alex Jones reported and what I've been told inside the army and inside the different branches, different agencies. Pretty much, but I'm not gonna lie. It seems as if it's like there's some good guys in the army and navy and marines, and there's some bad guys, and they're kind of coming at blows with one another. And same with the agencies like the FBI, NSA, things like that. And Ventura was pretty much told, that that these guys like Brzezinski and George Soros spent. That's the guy who I was trying to tell you about at work too. What it was, Soros. But yeah, these guys spent money to overthrow Ukraine. That Ukraine was always supposed to be a lot. Basically, is warm water poured for Russia for a long time. And these guys have been spending money just to poke the Russian bear, just to get us in a wartime economy again. And even what's his name's son got money out of it. Biden's son got money out of it.
Yeah,
So,
Hunter Biden.
yeah, so it seems like we're really using the Russians right now, in my opinion, using the Russians to justify this wartime economy once again. We're using ISIS to play both sides of the war and kind of pose, I guess you could say, as good guys, while these big corporate heads such as Soros are going into these countries and stirring up trouble by putting even neo-Nazis in charge and Ukraine.
Well, all of them are resource conflicts, Pete. Every last one of these. It's not just a lot of people. Once you start getting down to the brass tacks of everything, there's a reason they're in all of these countries. It doesn't matter what resources they're there for. They're there for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, just like Afghanistan, you could go with the opium, you could go with the lithium. Iraq, you could go with the oil.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, all these places do have, in terms of like trade ports and whatnot, one of the main reasons they don't want Yemen to have a regime in charge that's not so friendly to the Saudis and Israel and everybody is because the Bab el-Mandab is one of the greatest oil choke points in the world as far as like the oil trade goes, and having people that have to pay certain tariffs and whatnot to be able to dock in Yemen.
That's true. That's true, and that's why we have ISIS securing the interest of like oil production facilities.
Yeah. Well, essentially, in the case of Yemen, there it's the United States and China having a proxy war, because whilst you don't necessarily have to have the Houthis 100% backed up by China or Iran or anybody there, they kind of aren't exactly hindered by these guys at all, because, of course, why would they oppose people that are trying to get Yemen's economy out from under the thumb of Saudi Arabia?
Good point. What's your take on all this, Tim?
Well, it kind of goes back to what Seth said about hedging bets, and that's kind of what this all comes down to, And you touched on it, Pete, too. They fund both sides, and it's such an easy way to do it. It's such an easy way to ensure that they get money, and I mean, humans are basically viewed as inventory today, right? And it's such an easy way to get rid of your excess inventory. So that's what's happening. And again, like you said, that's why we're seeing it not in just one country. We're seeing it in multiple countries now. This ongoing effort to get rid of excess inventory and boost profits. So.
And have you ever read Perkins' Confessions of Economic Hitman?
No, I have not. No.
That goes into great detail about just how you could do that, take down a country without even firing a shot, just by sending in, certain people, whether it be via their economy or other aspects, where they could take down a country that doesn't play along without even one troop invading.
Yeah, like the banking system.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just something important that puts them next to the artery of the country, so they can pretty much just kill it directly.
Well, I think
pretty
it was
nasty stuff. I mean, we do have something here that's another facet of this. The Russian government has also repeatedly accused Turkey of being involved in the sale of ISIS oil, releasing aerial imagery of as many as 12,000 tankers and trucks on the Turkey-Iraq border.
But what was your point, Tim?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think it was Joseph Goebbels during World War II that said that one of the great way to convince the people is to, demonize those who are against the war effort, and is claiming that they're not patriotic or something,
Oh, it's nationalism, basically, a form of extradition, a form of being like a leper from society if you don't jump up on the war cause, just like kind of was done to the American people after 9/11.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing. I know it's such a small point, but it's amazing how well it will work. And the same thing's been done. If you go back through history, it's been done repeatedly. And I'll tell you, it works really, really well. It certainly worked after 9/11. We saw that.
And another quote from Goebbels, and speaking of 9/11, the bigger the lie, the more likely they are to believe it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
What's your take on that, Seth?
No, it's just Veritas, man. It's the reality in which we live. It's kind of spooky, actually, how much stuff from Nazi Germany has been held over into modern day America. But then again, it's not so confusing or coincidental once you know the real history of it.
And I lost my whole
wonderful
book.
job as much as anybody covering it.
Thank you, Seth. And I lost my whole book when my laptop was taken. I just remember that.
Son of a bitch.
But hey, I'm learning more and more every day. That thing was getting revised constantly. Well, I might as well just start over.
I get you, man. I get you.
I still got the computer with the documents from Ventura. That's all that matters.
Well, you ready for our last thing here?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
This is an interesting point that's going to be really controversial, and just give me a bit to read this. I personally think that this is pretty problematic and is really not thought-provoking and not really conducive of any sort of positive change here in the truth movement. However, we're getting to see right now blows come down to blows between two giants in alternative media. This is out of Mint Press News. Quote, Alex Jones is no better than ISIS. How the InfoWars host spreads fear for profit. Listen, and I'm going to get into this, read some of their thing, and then do rebuttals and stuff against it and whatnot. But I really don't feel that this is conducive to any sort of positive progress for us at all. I think that it's just more infighting bullshit. But at the same time, I get why they might necessarily feel that with his outspoken support of Donald Trump and the kind of, because of Donald Trump, the quote unquote anti-Muslim feelings and stuff like that. And Mint Press News is put out from a very American Muslim kind of mainstream liberal perspective. But at the same time, they're still alternative media just as much as Alex is, and that's why I like to defend both of them against people attacking them or whatever, because it's still it's real independent media. But let's just get into this, and then I want your guys' takes on it, just to kind of see how we're going here as far as a bellwether and whatnot. But aligning himself with figures like Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, infamous talk show host and conspiracy theorist, notice the conspiracy theory, of course, Alex Jones is spreading misinformation conveniently left out, however, is the fact that Nigeria, the country with the highest level of support for ISIS outside Syria, showed only 14% of people having a favorable view of the group. Agorist added, quote, none of the data showed that any of these supposed ISIS supporters, quote, want to conduct violent attacks in Europe and the United States. He further accused Jones of supporting an agenda similar to that of Daesh, an Arabic acronym used commonly known for ISIS, by spreading propaganda that encourages violence against a religious minority. Quote, if you are willing to harass, hurt, or kill an innocent person because of their religion, you are no better than ISIS, Agorist wrote. And finally, just finishing up here, Jones's use of anti-Muslim propaganda has continued unabated since the publication of Agorist's piece. On Monday afternoon, one of the headlines on Jones's InfoWars website is, quote, why is Obama working with ISIS to eradicate Christianity? The article that follows propagates a debunked conspiracy theory that Obama is Muslim or secretly supports Muslim extremism, a theory that is vocally endorsed by some Trump supporters. Now, I want to see your guys' particular take.
I agree. I think that well, no, I disagree with the article. I agree. Alex Jones has a right to take. Tim, you kind of brought this up good to me. Kind of opened my eyes. He has the right to take whatever stance he wants. It is his show, and number one, I think he's doing some things for the best interest of his show. Aligning with Trump might be the best option we have as far as people running that actually have a legitimate chance at winning. He was there sticking up for Ventura when Ventura was being attacked. He was pretty much on the front line stopping the Syrian war, like, promoting the petition I did. He's woken people up to a lot of things. I mean, he's been right about the mass surveillance. He's been right about the police state. I mean, you're going to be wrong about certain things. I've been wrong about certain things. And, of course, the media is going to attack him more, way more than someone like myself. And also spin his words around, too. So I think a lot of that happens. But I also see the side with the products and things like that. And, certain products, how, like his food deal with,
Yeah, you and I have covered stuff with that.
And I could see that. I could see that. But on an overall, what my take is overall, I think Alex Jones is doing his best while avoiding things like Israel, while avoiding things like other, like that we brought up before, just for
Sheldon Adelson, APAC, a lot of things like that.
For business purposes, which,
yeah.
But he also has done a lot of things for the greater good of people. Helped me out, woke me up to a lot of things too as well. So in order to get to that next level, I think he is making some business decisions. That's my take on it. Tim?
Yeah, and going along with what you were saying about Muslims, Pete, no, it's important to note a lot of people misquote him, like you just said, and what they'll do is they'll try to spin it as though he's attacking all of them when he's really not. If you actually listen to a lot of the broadcasts, he'll be very specific. He'll say radical Muslims. He'll say those that are that are either getting funded, that are part of ISIS or whatever. He's not going after all of them, and so I think there's kind of a misunderstanding, and this comes from what the media is so good at doing, is spinning it a certain way so that it sounds as though he's attacking the whole group when he's really not. Just like there's a lot of there's some Christian terrorists or Christian murderers. We wouldn't say that all Christians are murderers, and so yeah, that's what they try to put words in his mouth as though that's that's definitively what he's saying, when he's not saying that at all. He's referring to our government funding both sides and funding ISIS and goes around killing people and beheading people. That's what he's referring to. So
yeah,
it actually is important when you actually listen to these people. So,
and another thing that came right to my head, Seth, was the Rachel Maddow situation right after the Boston bombing, where he had nothing to do with it, and they write an article saying Alex Jones creates.
Yeah, well, I've never questioned that part of that of his
bomb. Or Alex Jones doesn't make bombs, but he creates bombers. Well, never once. Besides maybe that one, was it Batman couple shooting? Was he even ever like?
No, that was the Jared and Amanda Miller thing.
could he ever even be linked to, you know, not even close. So, I mean, I think this could be another way of trying to possibly.
Yeah, but these are also alternative media publications that are attacking him on this for reasons that could be just a misunderstanding there on some stuff or misinterpretation of some things, or it could be completely legitimate, just political
or
like just bickering back and forth.
I was gonna say, look at what happened with Joe Biggs and that lady. You make videos attacking or bringing something up about Alex Jones, you're gonna get views. You know, you're gonna get views. So it could be that. Self-promotion, it could be a misunderstanding, it could be disagreements, it could be the way they actually feel.
Because people can disagree with one another. I think their thing of saying he's just as bad as ISIS or vice versa, anything he said, because I mean, let's be completely honest, man, Alex does some great work, but he can also say some hyperbole type shit that's just like I get it, he might not necessarily mean it that way of certain things he says, but there's certain times he'll say some shit that's just a little bit hyperbole, a little bit extreme on something, but I don't think that anybody should throw him with ISIS or some shit like that. But
and I think
it's unfortunate to see the Free Thought Project or Mid-Press News attack him, or vice versa, him attack them, or anybody else like that, because I think more of this infighting stuff is exactly what
we've been trying to prevent.
Want. And I think we'll find people in every alternative media publication that disagree with somebody else based on something. I mean, if you listen to Michael Rivero all the time only, then you're going to think things like saying government conspiracies or Illuminati or whatever like that is completely crazy. But like most of the mainstream type stuff that Alex Jones talks about, that's totally normal. Or vice versa, you listen to Mid-Press News and you'd think that Jade Helm is just a bunch of BS and that it's all just a bunch of racist mainstream Republican and Democrat Israeli-controlled bad guys that are behind everything. And
Seth,
and it goes forward.
That's our main goal. I mean, that's why we created the Truth Alliance with a guy, you know, I don't know if you ever heard of him, Dan Badandi, who actually, you know, was the guy at the Boston bombing press conference that got it shut down. He's a part of it. We got people across Scott Sentinel, True Sentinel, people across the world, really, that are working together to try to stop this infighting. In my eyes, I think that's our biggest problem right now, is if we just unified instead of fought over, is Alex Jones worse than ISIS? We don't even know how bad ISIS really is. Half those videos look fabricated or faked or photoshopped. We don't know how much our government's controlling them, just like they staged fake plane crashes and Brian Williams lies about getting shot at. We just don't know exactly how big of a threat ISIS is. So to compare him with Alex Jones isn't even fair in that sense.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when our government controls ISIS, I would say not completely, but arms them and lets them go wild. Tim, what's your take?
Yeah, well, there's another point to bring up, I think, and that is that Alex is, and Jesse Ventura said this too, Alex is to an extent entertainment. You know, I mean, he has a right to say what he's saying. If people disagree with it, you know, it's their right to disagree, as your buddy Seth just said. That's absolutely true. I just don't see the point of fighting. I think, as he said before, rightly, you've said before, we can come together for liberty. And we don't have to fight like, you know, little babies or children. We don't have to fight about the nuances. We can come together and surround ourselves with the truth. You know, even if we kind of disagree on certain other social issues or certain, you know, little tidbits of info. The point is, there's corruption. We know there's corruption, and let's just, you know, let's try to fight against it. You know, I think in a peaceful way, but if necessary, you know, Second Amendment, 1776, right? So that's always our I guess our fallback, you know. So, exactly. But I think fighting is stupid. It's worthless. It's not. It's only going to divide us. It's conquer and divide. We don't need that. I don't need that.
It's exactly what they want, which is exactly what they use the TV for, the Fox News and the CNN or MSNBC and that on the same thing. And I think it's really unfortunate to see that happen in alternative media, but I think we all need to call ourselves out to a higher standard of journalism and integrity there as individuals, to be able to work together and to be able to entertain more than one idea at a time in our minds without necessarily accept the absolute God's honest truth.
I think you guys both hit the nail on the head right there. Yeah, well said, both of you, Tim and Seth. One last thing, I just wanted to kind of bring up 10 minutes, maybe just quick discussion on this, just hypothetical. Jesse, brought up a lot of good points about going to Russia and stuff, of how, there's a lot of good things there, and how he actually believes, Putin came up to him, said, Governor Ventura, like I'm sure you heard on InfoWars, Tim, and treat him with respect at the RT 10th annual show, or the anniversary of having a station. And Jesse, off air, pretty much off record, told me, I mean, he believes pretty much that Putin's an honest guy. He brought up these connections with Soros, and they know what's going on there. And he thinks, to the best of his ability, even though he is a former KGB officer, that America is less free than Russia. I mean, if you just look at the simple fact that we spend billions of dollars a year on infrastructure for spying, mass surveillance that never works, that never catches anyone prior to the action, yet they have all our information, and they have you, I, everyone who's going to watch this. They have every single person's information on record. And if they weren't using that to actually stop crime, what are they using it for? They're using it to kind of make a social circle of who you talk to, and then pretty much elaborate a little further on if you could be a threat to the establishment, and categorize you. That's exactly what this stuff is being used for, as well as marketing and data, to help make you spend more money into the dying economy. So
yeah, through computer algorithms.
Exactly. So are we really freer than any other country? Is there a country that stands out to either one of you that is freer than the U.S.? Are we the freest country, or are we even worse than Russia? And that's what I want to ask both of you. If you want to start, Tim, then we'll go Seth, and I'll conclude.
Sure. Yeah, I would say and I think Ventura would agree, we are less free than Russia. Certainly, well, if you look, certainly within the past 5 years, what's been, in terms of what's gone on with the laws of the land in the last 5 years. And did you remember what else, Pete, that Jesse said on his when he was on Alex Jones? He said that he looked up when he went to talk to the Russians over there. He said they're all people, just like us. They're all people.
Yeah.
And yet we've been, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. We kind of been brainwashed into thinking, oh, we got to go attack them. We got to spend millions or billions of dollars attacking them, when, again, it goes back to failed policies, and it goes back to, corporate fascist leaders that want to, make money off of it.
And before that, it's Koreans, and before that, it's they'll find somebody if it's the Venezuelans. it's always somebody. But,
it's always someone. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's the Panama. It's the people in Panama. We got to go and invade them, bomb them. I mean, it's always somebody. It's Cuba, and that's like you hit the nail on the area, industrial complex. As soon as they're threatened, then that country is on the shit list, man. And Russia's on the shit list because they nationalized a lot of things. Putin has done a lot of, spoken out about the U.S. a lot, rightfully so. And we pretty much broke an agreement that's been, that helped end the Cold War, with allying NATO countries all around them. So, yeah, I do think under the circumstances that Russia might be a freer place too. I'll let Seth conclude. And the reason I'm going to say that is my grandma's sister lives out there. They're afraid of us, but they're not afraid to fight us, but they're afraid of what we're going to do to screw up the world next. I have family in Germany that they think we're living in Nazi times. They think we're living in Nazi Germany, basically, or approaching that. And that we're not. We're one of the least free countries in the world, due to the fact that technology has been implanted in our lives as an everyday thing. Our laptops watch us. I brought this up before. Me and my buddy are talking about going to McDonald's. All of a sudden, McDonald's ads for breakfast pop up. We were talking about McDonald's breakfast at like 11 p.m. and all of a sudden it pops up, and we go. I mean, we thought about it. It got us, you know. So with the technology watching us, with the cameras spying on us, I mean, just O'Hare Airport has 30,000 emitted cameras alone on the streets that we probably pass by every day going to work. Chicago, add how many they have, and add that by 50 or 49 other states, and are we really free at all from every action, every word we type, and every pretty much uh, place we go? Are we free from the government knowing where we're going? And the answer is no. So in my eyes, I think we're the least free country in the world right now. Seth?
I'll agree with you both on the point about Russia, the United States being less free than Russia. Don't know that I'd say Russia is some place that I just want to go move anytime soon. But I would also disagree with you in that the United States is the least free country on earth, and I would say that China is further down the rabbit hole than the United States is, but the United States is not far behind.
That's
that all of these countries, regardless of whether or not they're in Europe or Africa or South America or the Pacific Rim there, South Pacific, like Australia or Malaysia or Indonesia or something like that, all these countries are all part of the same thing of the New World Order. I mean, we could get into the Royal Institute of International Affairs. We could get into the Council on Foreign Relations. We could get into the Bilderberg Group or the Trilateral Commission or the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We can get into any of this. I mean, something so public as the Davos Group can completely and totally create what some would call a fascist system of big business and government colluding all around the world. But some people would know it's a little bit bigger than that necessarily. But it kind of just boils down to the exact same thing, because regardless of what nation you're in, they're all taking steps to be a place that is more akin to something that would fit a New World Order hand, like a glove, pretty much. That they're
we're in the big boss's house. I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah.
But although I do take, I probably should take that back. Yeah, I think China is a little worse. Okay.
Yeah, only in the fact that they have mobile vans that come out and kill people and then harvest your fucking organs and then sell them to somebody because you're not a human being. You're a profit. You're a number to them. Yeah, I'd say China's a little bit further down the road.
We do the same with baby's fetus, the fetus of aborted babies. So, I mean, we're not that far off, but yeah, I agree. Maybe we're in second place. And
no, not maybe. I'd say we're definitely in second place. I'd say Russia would be more like a number 6 or a number 7 on that list. Not to say that it's some great thing, but there's a pretty big drop-off between everything else ahead of them, including the United Kingdom, including Israel, including even, honestly, you look at some place like Spain, and that's a fascist state as hell.
True. What's your take, Tim? Any reaction?
Certainly Planned Parenthood will put us towards number 1. There's no doubt about it, what they're doing. I'm glad you brought up the point about the fetuses, Pete, because it's an important one. And Seth really hit the nail on the head there again, saying, basically that, we're all just unassembled parts in the eyes of these people. And that's essentially what's going on when you harvest someone's organs. You view them as parts. They're not even humans. So I think we're seeing that, running rampant in this country now. We're starting to. It certainly is. It's a good point about China. I had forgotten about China. That's a good point.
Right, I did completely forgot about China as well. But yeah, I mean, honestly, what's up?
I said, don't forget about China.
Yeah, right. I mean, I could see forgetting about Kim Jong-un out there and stuff, and Kim Jong-il and or whatever the hell that little guy's name is. But yeah, I can't believe I left out China. Good call, good catch, Seth. Good catch.
Oh man, it's the world in which we live. That's why, regardless of where you are, it's important to humanize other people and to realize that government, that mainstream religion, that mainstream political ideologies of whatever you want to have there, or social ideologies, whatever you want to come up with there, stuff that wants to rule your life and tell you what to do on a regular basis, that wants to dehumanize other people to you and make them seem like monsters in order to get you to either hate them or support them being killed, are wrong. It's important to humanize everybody. I don't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindi, Buddhist, atheist, whatever. I don't care if you're a socialist. I don't care if you're a hardcore major conservative like American neocon, or if you're an old school, what do you want to say, Barry Goldwater style conservative. I don't care if you call yourself an agorist. I don't care if you call yourself an anarchist. I don't care any of that type of stuff. Seriously, though, we need to come together around the basic defining principles that unite all of humanity, not in a new world order way or any of this type of stuff, but in a genuine respect for everybody's individual integrity as human beings, a respect for the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness or property of every single human being on Earth.
Thank you for adding property.
Yeah, because seriously, that shit pisses me off. I always forget that one. Or property. I'm like, that's what makes the difference between the United States or communist China there.
Well, I think this was a great show, man. I'm glad Tim joined us. Tim, anytime you want to come on, man, you injected some great points, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, like I said, I've been a listener of Pete's for a while, so I've enjoyed the stuff he's put up, so absolutely.
Thank you, man. And honestly, I'm becoming a fan of you, and I'd like to hear for a lot more of what you think on certain topics. Seth and I, we're going to try to get, back to doing a show like on some kind of consistent format.
Regular basis, at least like once a week or something like that.
And we'll let you know we could do it like this. And I'm not sure if this got cut out at the beginning. I'm going to have to cut this out, but I'd like to thank Diesel Automatic for sending me something. I appreciate that. That's between us, but there was a donation basically to the show. Okay, I'll put it
and I'd
there.
really like to tell everybody, encourage them to go listen to Diesel Automatic, listen to any of a number of conscious rap artists there, be it Beat 33, or Akala, Low Key, Logic, anybody like that. People that are just really all about getting your mind right. I mean, Reno. I mean, let's not forget the most obvious one of them all.
That guy's been on the show several times. But also, I'd like to put out there that my house got broken into. If you didn't hear that earlier, I lost everything on my laptop, all the old shows that got deleted from Spreaker, the audio formats, almost just about everything. So my book, my documentary I was working on the same topic, it's been a struggle. But again, thank people like, Seth, Tim, Diesel Automatic for being there for me. And like I said, check Two Real News. It's on, the screen right here as I'm talking. Follow Seth Davis on Twitter. Seth is TrueRealNews.com up and running at the moment, or
no, it's not. It's still down. I have to get a hold of Jason to get the domain back up and all that stuff. It's been down for a while, and it's been putting me kind of down in the dumps and whatnot because I really want to get back up on this. I feel the fire, man. I feel the drive, and I just got to do something.
And Tim, would you like to give out any websites, any Twitter accounts people can follow you at, brother?
Well, I've told Pete this off air. I review some video games. I do reviews of some arcade games. So I'm at Tim the Gamer 13 is my Twitter account. And Pete knows he's got me added on there. So you can always catch me there. Otherwise, I'm on YouTube at NES Fan, ThatNESFAN. So you can always tune in, whenever you want. If you have any specific requests for videos, I'll be more than happy to put them up. So that's basically it. Thanks, Pete.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, man. Thanks for joining us. Honest to God, it was good to hear a new voice, right, Seth? Something.
Definitely.
Especially from Chicago, especially someone who could verify things that I've talked about. So I can't thank you enough for coming on. And Seth, like always, I can't thank you enough for, being there for me, both you guys actually through this most current tragedy. But Seth, since, basically the whole year with my mom's death and all that. So I'd like to say thank you for everything you've done for me this whole last year and since the beginning of the show.
Thank you, brother.
And I guess I'll conclude the show today on the 30th of December, 2015. And maybe I'll come on and do a quick Happy New Year's thing tomorrow. I can't count that out, but this could be our last show of the year. But looking forward to Diesel's interview and much more shows with these guys, Tim and Seth. And let's kick ass. And
here's to a better year, man. Here's to a better year.
I was just gonna say, let's get back on schedule, man, and start fucking kicking ass and taking names.
Amen. Thank you for the talk and everything, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.
You too, brother. You too. God bless. All right, Tim. See ya, Seth.
Okay. Thanks, Seth. Nice meeting you, sir.
All right, brother. I'm about to end the live event. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. It was good to hear. I'm telling you, brought up some good topics.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been a lot of fun. Cool, about.
All right, man. Tune in next week. I'll give you guys an update, and I appreciate it. Go follow Diesel Automatic on Twitter and share his stuff. Thanks for tuning in. The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction with Pete Wichert. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, just about every social media account you could think of. And have a happy new year. Don't drink and drive.